You know what nobody tells you about overthinking? It's not a flaw. It's not anxiety running loose. It's not your brain malfunctioning. And it's definitely not something that's simply fixed by just relaxing. Here's what psychology is starting to understand, and what most people completely miss. Your overthinking isn't random noise, it's a message. And if you've spent years trying to silence it, you may have been fighting the one part of your mind that was actually trying to protect you. Today, we're going to stop fighting it and start listening to it instead. Psychologists define overthinking as repetitive, uncontrolled thinking focused on problems, past events, or future outcomes. But that clinical definition misses something critical. It misses the why. Because your brain doesn't do anything without a reason. Every loop, every replay, every what if spiral your mind runs has a function. And when you understand that function, something remarkable happens. The thinking doesn't necessarily stop, but it loses its power over you. In this video, we're going to walk through what your overthinking patterns are actually communicating, broken down through neuroscience and psychology, and what each pattern is genuinely trying to protect you from. By the end, you'll see your own mind very differently. Let's get into it. Pattern 1. You replay conversations over and over. You leave a conversation, and your brain immediately rewinds it. Did I say something wrong? Did they seem off? Why did I phrase it that way? Most people call this anxiety, but psychologically, there's something more specific happening. Your brain has a system called the default mode network, a web of brain regions that activates when you're not focused on an external task. It replays social interactions specifically to scan for threats you may have missed in real time. This is your brain doing social quality control. And here's what that tells you. You deeply value how you show up for other people. You care about your impact. You're not self-absorbed. You're actually other-aware. The message your brain is sending, this relationship matters to me. I don't want to get it wrong. The problem isn't the caring. It's when the loop runs without an off switch. Pattern 2. You catastrophize about the future. Something uncertain comes up, a medical test, a job interview, a difficult conversation you need to have. And immediately, your brain fast forwards to the worst possible version of events. Neuroscientists call this anticipatory threat processing. Your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, doesn't distinguish well between what's actually happening and what might happen. So it starts preparing your body and mind for a worst-case scenario, just in case. Think of it like a weather app that always predicts storms, even when the sky is clear, because being wrong about a storm is safer than being caught off guard by one. This pattern is telling you something very specific. There's something here I feel unprepared for. And that's useful data, because the solution isn't to stop thinking about it. It's to ask, what would help me feel more prepared? Pattern 3. You can't stop thinking about a decision. Small decisions, big decisions. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Your brain just won't commit. It keeps running simulations, comparing options, second-guessing what seemed settled. Psychologists call this decision paralysis, and it's often misread as indecisiveness or low confidence. But here's the deeper truth. People who struggle most with decisions are often people with highly complex internal value systems. You're not struggling to choose because you don't know what you want. You're struggling because multiple things you genuinely value are in conflict. Your overthinking here is actually an integrity check. It's your brain making sure the choice you make aligns with who you actually are, not just who it's convenient to be in the moment. The message? This matters more to me than I've admitted. Let's slow down here for a second, because notice what's happening. Every single pattern we've looked at, the replaying, the catastrophizing, the decision loops, none of them are your brain breaking down. They are your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. Protect you, prepare you, keep you aligned with what matters. The suffering doesn't come from the thinking itself. It comes from not understanding what the thinking is for. So let's keep going, because the next patterns reveal something even deeper. Pattern 4. You overthink other people's behavior. Someone doesn't text back quickly. A friend seems quieter than usual. A colleague's tone felt slightly different today. And suddenly, you're building an entire case file in your head about what it means. This pattern is almost always rooted in what psychologists call hypervigilance, a heightened sensitivity to social signals that often develops when someone grew up in an environment where other people's moods were unpredictable or difficult to navigate. Your brain learned early that tracking other people's emotional states was important, maybe even necessary, so it kept doing it, long after the environment changed. The message hidden in this pattern is profound. I needed to understand people to feel safe, and part of me still does. That's not weakness. That's survival intelligence that hasn't been updated yet. Pattern 5. You overthink at night when everything is quiet. It's 2 a.m. Your body is exhausted. But your brain has decided this is the perfect time to revisit every uncomfortable moments from the last decade. Here's the neuroscience behind this. During the day, your brain is flooded with external stimulation, tasks, conversations, decisions, screens. That stimulation essentially drowns out unprocessed thoughts and emotions. But at night, when the stimulation disappears, those unprocessed thoughts surface. Because your brain hasn't finished working through them yet, psychologists call these unresolved cognitive loops, thoughts the brain keeps returning to because they haven't been given the space to be fully felt and processed during waking hours. Your nighttime overthinking is your brain handing you a backlog. It's saying, we haven't dealt with this yet, and I'm not going to let you rest until we do. The solution here isn't melatonin. It's creating intentional processing time during the day, journaling, therapy, even quiet reflection, so your brain isn't forced to schedule its processing at midnight. Pattern 6. You overthink your own overthinking. This one might be the most quietly painful of all. You catch yourself spiraling, and then you start spiraling about the spiral. Why am I like this? What's wrong with me? Normal people don't do this. Psychologists call this meta-worry, and it's one of the most exhausting loops a human mind can run. Here's what's happening neurologically. Your prefrontal cortex, the rational, self-aware part of your brain, is trying to regulate your amygdala, but instead of calming it, it's interrogating it. And that interrogation creates a second loop running on top of the first. But here's what this pattern reveals more than any other. You have an exceptionally high level of self-awareness. You're not just thinking, you're watching yourself think. That's a rare cognitive ability, and it means your capacity for insight, for growth, for genuine change is far above average. The message? I am aware enough to change. I just haven't learned how yet. Here's what I want you to sit with. Overthinking, in all its forms, is not the enemy. It is misdirected intelligence. It is a highly capable brain that never received the instruction manual for how to use its own power wisely. The goal was never to think less. The goal is to understand what you're thinking for. When you replay conversations, your brain is protecting relationships you care about. When you catastrophize, it's preparing you for uncertainty. When you can't decide, it's honoring your values. When you spiral at 2 a.m., it's clearing a backlog you didn't give space to during the day. When you overthink other people, it's an old safety system still running a program it no longer needs. None of these are signs that something is wrong with you. They are signs that your mind is extraordinarily engaged with the world and with the people in it. Research in cognitive behavioral therapy consistently shows that the shift from suffering to clarity doesn't come from silencing the mind. It comes from understanding what the mind is trying to say and then responding to it with intention rather than fear. Your overthinking has been trying to tell you something for a long time. Maybe now is the moment you finally start listening. If any of these patterns felt uncomfortably familiar, that's not a coincidence. That's recognition. And recognition is always the first step. If this video helped you see your mind a little differently, consider sharing it with someone who needs to hear it too. If you want to understand it better, click the video on your screen. It'll show you what growing up lonely really does to your mind and how it shapes you. Trust me, this one will help you.